Hello and welcome to another episode of Alien Cave Base Task Force. Right now we're sat in Cave Base HQ, which is just in Inverness, and it's currently about 5 miles away from Loch Ness. And right now we're sitting in the Hooch, which is where all the sort of research and time and effort goes into looking at different things and experiences that everyone may have. In the last episode, I wanted to just go into some detail. So I know a lady that I was sort of asked to look into, who's a friend, and she had a possible waking dream scenario, which involved her being awoken around the usual time between 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning with a creature sat on her chest, or a person. And on this occasion, that's what happened. So it was around 2 or 3 a.m. in one morning, and her child was at the bottom of the bed in a cot. And basically, she had pressure on her chest. She woke up, she opened her eyes, she'd seen an entity quite close to her face, which was right next to her face, really. Nothing more to say. Couldn't make out any features on the face or any other sort of anything to differentiate what it could be, but it was definitely quite tall, and it was heavy, and it was pinned down her on her chest and on her arms, and while she laid on her back, she couldn't move. Then there was a second entity to her left, next to her bed, right next to her face, and it had a thumb and forefinger, and it was stroking her cheek. And she says the feeling of it was like a wet wipe, when you wipe your face with a wet wipe. So to that end, she couldn't really move apart from her eyes. She couldn't speak. She could just barely breathe, with obviously the weight of the other entity on it. She then tried to make some sort of, I don't know if anyone's ever experienced it before, but you can still try, in your head, you're trying to do things, so you're trying to move and whatnot. And she had a full waking dream, so her eyes were open, so she saw it. To this point was, she was still trying to move, and eventually, obviously, she managed to move. And at that point, the one on her chest screamed in her face, like a high-pitched wailed scream, and then jumped off and ran out the door, followed closely by the second entity. These two entities were quite tall, so they were over 6 feet, and they went through the open door of the bedroom out, and there was some form of flash of light outside her bedroom window. And that was probably around 2012, maybe just after. It was a very, very weird scenario. In fact, it must have been after that. It must have been in 2013. But anyway, as I mentioned previously, we were going to go into the old hat man and hag. Well, last night, yours truly was subject to the same thing. So it was literally about 1:30, 01:30 a.m. and I was not asleep, but I was not awake. I was in that kind of snoozing realm, whatever you want to call it. Couldn't open my eyes, but I knew there was something in the room. And then I literally, in my head, I couldn't open my eyes though. So again, it's not really a waking dream. It was more of a dream, but I couldn't move, and it was damn real, and I'm damn sure it was real. But there was the Hat Man. This is the full time I've seen it, because I've never seen one before. And when I say see it, I mean it was in my mind, not actually my eyes were open in a visual representation, which was, so if I refer to it as seeing it, I probably mean it's probably in my mind. And the Hat Man was stood over my bed on the right hand side, and my wife was on the left, and she was on the left hand side of me. And I remember it took me ages to work out what the shape of it was, because I was like, what the hell is that, in my head, trying to move. And it was like all different shapes to start off with, like octagons, triangles, dodecahedrons, it was all those kind of weird sharp-sided objects, and then manifested into what I would call, I'd say, the Hat Man. So he had a hat, and he was shadowed, but he had yellow eyes, and he distinctly looked like yellow eyes, like sort of a dark, dirty yellow, but like that, not quite as bright as, say, the sun or anything like that, but he had yellow eyes, and it looked like a sharp, pointy nose, and it looked like Uncle Fester from the Addams Family. But I remember being so annoyed with him and so angry that I was trying to reach my right hand up to grab him, to pull him closer. I don't know why I was doing that, but I just remember being really angry. So I wasn't fearful for some reason. Whereas in other times I have been fearful, but for this time, this time I wasn't. So he wasn't sat on my chest or anything like that. And I remember trying to grab him and pull him, but he kept walking away from me, from the bed, and then going round. And I was trying to scream. I was trying to get a noise out so I could, but I was awake. It's so weird. It's so weird, but I can't move, and I'm definitely awake in my head because my eyes are shut, but I can't. I'm trying to. If anyone had heard me the night, they probably thought I was joking. I don't know, but it was so surreal. I just found it so, like, people call it synchronicity and coincidence. You know, you talk about one thing and then one thing happens. We get to see what happens about. Obviously, my wife slept through it, didn't see a thing. No one else heard anything. But I remember as soon as I managed to sort of come out of that dozing state, I checked the watch, checked my clock, and it was 01:30. So I can definitely, it was definitely strange, and not to be. I know lots of people have these encounters. There was a friend of mine who's in the army as well. He'd had one of these encounters, so he'd actually got up. He's a bodybuilder, so he trains a lot. So he eats at different times at what we would normally eat, and he eat at like 1, 2 in the morning for his protein. So he'd be down in the kitchen having his chicken. So he went downstairs into his kitchen. I think it was early hours in the morning. I think it was about 2, and what happened was he went up. He had his chicken, got out the fridge. Then he went to his shelves, his cupboard. Shelves. Cupboard in the shelves was his a plate. He was looking for a plate, so he got the plate out. And as he pulled the plate, he said, to the left, he noticed in the doorway was someone. The typical shadowy figure of a man. There was no hat on this one, he says. It was just a man. So that was out of his peripheral vision. So as he turned and looked at the thing, he said he saw the shadow, and he collapsed. Totally just passed out. And they found him at 7 in the morning. His wife found him at 7 in the morning. So again, and he told me about that. And he only had that once, so all the other I spoke to have not had it on multiple occasions. I think I'm the only person I think that I've had it on multiple occasions. So I spoke about it before, but I've had it when I was extremely tired. But it was 2007 when I was in Afghanistan, and someone was kneeling on my chest and sniffing me, but like nose to nose. But I couldn't open my eyes. The same scenario as last night. Could not open my eyes. You could just I think when you say see it, you're seeing the dream of that, of what your perception of what it is, or what you're in. But it potentially could be real. Yeah, but the last few nights I've not been sleeping anyway, to be honest. Last night was the night before, and this night was the sort of night where I kind of slept. Before that, with the new moon, I guess. Everyone goes a bit crazy. So, yes, I just wanted to pass those informations on. I will be setting up today the task force email. I'll put the link on the Facebook group, and then I'll put in the comments as well. So you can then, if you want to share any stories, I can then read them out. And then if you want your name, you don't want your name, obviously stipulate if you want your name. And if you don't want to stipulate, if you want to be anonymous, obviously just let me know, and we'll just talk through the whole scenario that played out for that individual. Like I said, I want this to be like a round table for everyone. This is not one-sided, so everyone can sort of get no one's going to feel ridiculed or by any shape of by any means, because everyone's experiences vary vastly from seeing something so small to something so big and huge. So I know some people have close encounters with aliens. Others, like myself, not so lucky for that, or unlucky, because it changes your world perspective. Even seeing a UFO changes your world perspective. So I was with on an interview with another podcast, and that was with Ben Wilgate down at 401 Files. I don't think it recorded, so we might have to do it again. I will do a live, so that will get sorted at some point. We will have a live round table. All I want is for people in the group to have a live round table. We'll sit around on a live and chat, have a proper discussion on everyone's varied experiences or stories they want to share. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be directly involving that person. It could be someone else. It's just someone else's story, because some people don't like to tell their stories. Yeah, sure. So this is me out. So I'm going to be, because of the weather, so I'm going to sit in here and edit this video, and then probably punch out that email from HQ, and I'll see you all very shortly. If you do like it, if you do like anything, if you don't like certain things the way I'm doing it, please just put it in the comments, and I'll try and work something out. And then secondly is, if you want to hear about something, let me know, and then we can look at it all as a oneer, see what we can learn. And if you like what we see, obviously subscribe and keep watching. Be more coming soon. Thanks very much for your time. Laters.